Welcome to the Page by Page Book Club. I'm your host, Paige in Print, and I bring you weekly book club meetings wherever you get your podcasts. Hello, and we are so back, y'all. So, fun little fact about this episode. I've actually already done this episode. I've recorded it, and the entire audio was super warped and messed up, and so we're going to give it another go. So, unlike a lot of my episodes where I don't want to say unprepared, but I am more off the cuff, this episode is a little more well thought out because I've already done it. So, with that being said, I'm assuming you read the title, but today's episode, I am giving you book recommendations for every single Taylor Swift album. And yes, you probably guessed it, I did originally record this the week that we found out Taylor brought back her masters. So yeah, a few weeks ago. And I'm just now getting back around to the re-record. Oh my gosh, this is so Taylor Swift coded that I am re-recording this episode. It was fate. It was rare I was there. I remember it. Okay, well, here we are. And boy, oh boy, do I have recommendations for you. I have brought 3 recommendations for every album, and I'm going to say it from the jump. These are purely, strictly vibe-based. Either A, they give me the energy of this album, or B, I feel like one song or the whole album in particular could very much so be used to describe the book as a whole, or like the soundtrack of the book, you know what I'm saying? But this is not by any means scientific or fact-based. It is purely, strictly vibes. So, if there are any that you don't agree with or you want to add to my list, holler. But that's kind of what we're doing today. Okay, I'm assuming most of you know the Taylor Swift lore, but if not, a little quick explanation about all this before we dive in. I promise if you do already know this, I will be brief. I will be quick. So, Taylor Swift had her entire discography sold to someone that was not her, despite her repeatedly requesting and asking to purchase these records and masters. Not only that, but they were sold to like the one person on earth she would never, ever, ever want to have them, i.e. Scooter Braun. Okay, and so thus she decided that she would re-record these albums and re-release them for 2 reasons. A, so that she would actually own one set of masters, and 2, to ultimately devalue the original masters, because if she had her own versions of the masters that people were listening to, the value of the originals would significantly decrease. And they did. And she ended up purchasing them a few weeks ago for only. They were sold originally for like $200 million, I think. And I think allegedly she bought them for $260, which I think they were like valued in the like way higher hundreds of millions, if not, I might be making this up, but I don't think so, in the billion with a B zone. But because of these re-recordings, they were essentially rendered pointless because she re-recorded them. So anyway, that is the lore of the re-recordings in brevity. I am sure that if you look it up on YouTube or TikTok, you will find way more detailed explanations of that. But that is the saga and the drama of Taylor Swift. But now that she owns all of her records, we are going to be breaking them down one by one. And I'm going to be telling you book recommendations for each of them. Okay, we're just going to start at the top and work our way through her discography, starting with Debut. Debut to me is like the most yeehaw album of all of the Taylor Swift albums. And henceforth, therefore, I have 3 Western cowboy book recommendations for you. And I think that just makes sense. If anything were to be debut coded, it would have to be a small town cowboy romance. Well, maybe not cowboy, like as we've discussed, like he doesn't have to herd cows, but ranch life, you get it. Okay, my first recommendation for Debut is Cash by Jessica Peterson. This is a hate to love small town cowboy romance, and our FMC Molly Luck is big city socialite, and she's coming from Dallas, and she didn't have much of a relationship with her father who owned this ranch, and he ended up unfortunately passing, and she inherited the ranch after his passing. Well, The issue and the drama with that is our MMC Cash was promised the ranch because he's the ranch foreman. And he feels as though everything he's ever worked for is being taken from him. And now he has to work under this, like, to him, city girl daughter who never came to see her father, so on and so forth. And so there's a lot of initial hatred mutually between each of them because he doesn't take her seriously. She has what he wants, and then she's like, I don't like the way you're treating me. So anyway, it's very, I don't know, it's giving debut. Like I said at the top of this episode, it's vibes only. Vibes only. So then, of course, none other than Heartless by Elsie Silver. I just think the single dad nanny of it all, the grumpy sunshine of it all, the fiery FMC, I think Taylor would just appreciate that. Especially like young Taylor Swift writing debut. I just think that it gives such Taylor Swift, capital T, capital S energy. And then last but not least, for the debut era would be Done and Dusted by Lila Sage. A little Brother's Best Friend action. And again, young Taylor Swift writing her debut album. I think Brother's Best Friend would be an intriguing trope for her. I do. She's returning home after years away. It's her brother's best friend who she was kind of like frenemies with growing up. He gave her a hard time. Reformed playboy. Oh, young Taylor would have loved the reformed playboy brother's best friend trope. Come on. I don't know her, but that's my guess. It's also a first book in a series and kind of the starting point of this really beautiful found family. And found family, debut, Taylor Swift, all the above. I think yes. Which sends us straight, dare I say, head first into Fearless. So the Fearless energy that I am bringing to this story is kind of that high school love element to it, right? You belong with me, the actual title track Fearless. Like, I don't know. I just really liked the high school early love, first love energy. And so that's kind of where I was drawing from. The first was Easy Out by Ginger Wallace. This is a college baseball romance. They're paired together on a school project where they kind of have to get to know each other and interview each other and then write on each other. But the issues they're both kind of hesitant to share about their past. He is a near silent MMC due to a childhood stutter that resulted in him being hesitant to speak just because of that stutter. And then he just kind of carried that habit with him into adulthood. For those of you watching, we have a guest. My dog has joined us. But so yes, he is near silent. She comes from a fairly very difficult background as well and is hesitant to open up about that. It's messy, it's angsty, but also they're both inexperienced. And I would say both each other's first loves, and I think it's beautiful. So I think the angst paired with the mutual first love of it all is what gives it Fearless vibes to me. Next is none other than In a Jam by Kate Canterbury. The reason I feel like In a Jam is so Fearless coded is because of the MMC Noah. He just loved her and pined after her forever. Like, no one's writing, pining, and yearning like Kate Canterbury on a consistent basis. Like, In a Rush, In a Jam, both of them were just such like top tier yearning. They were high school friends. He was like absolutely in love with her, but he was kind of like more shy in high school and she was pretty popular, but they were still really good friends. And she's back in town years and years later and has to get married in this like marriage of convenience to inherit her grandmother's tulip farm. And he offers to do it. He's also a single guardian. He's shy, but you do not understand how much he loves her until you like understand how much he loves her. And it is just jaw-dropping. It's jaw-dropping and it's giving Fearless. And then my last book recommendation for Fearless is Daydream by Hannah Grace. Another kind of like innocent love, very firstborn daughter coded. That's a big driving factor and element for the FMC in the story. College hockey, both of them kind of learning what it looks like to be in a relationship long term and fake dating and just like really sweet first love energy. I think that is why those are my recommendations for Fearless. we digress. Speak Now. Speak Now was just very, very, very clear for me. All of these recommendations just so clearly are Speak Now coded, in my opinion. These are the ones I am like the most confident in. Okay, so first and foremost, nobody has ever been, nor will anyone ever be, as Speak Now coded as Leo Graham is Speak Now coded. Like, I just feel like he is such a Speak Now guy. And I mean, he shows up in town on the day she's getting married. I hear the preacher say, "Speak now and forever hold your peace." That's Leo Graham. Like, come on. And then all the other elements of that album. This is a second chance, dual timeline, runaway bride, pro surfer romance, small town, California, high angst. I mean, what more could you possibly want from a Speak Now recommendation? I don't know. And then there's Sable Peak, which is a she falls first, he falls harder, single dad. She has like a very, very difficult past. I always recommend read Crimson River before you read Sable Peak. It just provides some extremely important context to the FMC's character that makes the Speak Now-ness of it far more evident. And I just reread this one, so I'm just like, it's prime on my mind. Like, there's this big moment at the end of part 1. I don't want to say exactly what chapter in case that's not your vibe, but she embodies Speak Now. And it's stunning and it's heartbreaking and it's beautiful and I love it. So that's Sable Peak. And then What Saves Us by Maggie Gates, kind of the opposite. He falls first. And as you all know, because I talk about this one pretty often, single mom, she's in the midst of postpartum. He actually delivers her baby in an emergency situation. He's an EMT, and he just shows up for her and fights for her. And if you've read the rest of the series, you know that he's been down bad for her for a long time. A long time. And it's just so fun to watch them fall in love. So those are my Speak Now recs. Next up, Red. Now we're getting interesting. Now there's a shift happening, right? This era was truly just one of a kind. I mean, it has All Too Well. It has, obviously, Red. We're never getting back. Like, the amount of hits off of this one was crazy. So again, this is purely in energy. Okay. One Chance by Lena Hendricks. This is a best friends, lovers, fake dating romance, small town, and what's interesting about this one is that he'd been dating her sister before her sister passed. And he was in the military, and there's an underlying current of mystery about the MMC and FMC's prior relationship that is ultimately a mystery a bit to each of them. Like, they're both kind of keeping secrets from each other about their feelings, particularly her, and it does result in what about my letters situation. And it's I need to reread that one. I just love One Chance. Small town, set in Michigan, love it, amazing. Then we have A Royal Mile by Samantha Young. This is a neighbors fake dating second chance-ish where they were quickly becoming more in high school, and then due to a family rivalry, it ended up having to be called off. But like, he doesn't realize that, so he like hates her because she kind of broke his heart, but she knows she was doing it to protect him. It was like, it's angsty, but it's also beautiful. They're neighbors. He's a pro soccer player. And it has my all-time favorite microtrope where he cares so much he cries. In fact, this was the book that made me realize that I love this. Because he's like such a strong, like grumpy, broody MMC that seeing him have that duality to him was beautiful. And then my last one for this is A False Start by Elsie Silver. This is the final book in her Gold Rush Ranch series. And it is a like brother's best friend, kind of right person, wrong time, where they had like a moment together years and years ago, and he was like, we can't do this, and ever since they've kind of been strangers, but now they're back and their relationship is changing, and he is a recluse due to an incident that happened to him. He's a like retired football player, and he's so grumpy, and she's so sunshine, and I don't know, I love it, and it just gives me red energy. So That's my book recommendation for Red. And now we're on to 1989. The hallmark and important thing to me for a 1989 book recommendation is it cannot be small town. There's nothing small town about 1989. It is so New York coded that I just couldn't recommend a small town romance with 1989. So the through line of this is girl group, found family, city setting. Okay. Marriage for One by Ella Maisie. A Little Marriage of Convenience. It was one of the very first books I read as a romance reader. And Marriage of Convenience, he's a big time lawyer. He offers to marry her due to like a familial situation. And she's also trying to start up her coffee shop because of course. And he's so grumpy. It's Grumpy Sunshine. But he's going to help her set up the coffee shop, and grand gestures and wealthy man behavior. And you ultimately find out like his true reasoning behind entering into a marriage of convenience with her, and it's even better than you ever possibly imagined. It's just giving big city rom-com energy, and that to me also gives 1989. Next up is, of course, none other than The 7-Year Slip. And I just do think that Taylor Swift would love this. And the concept of the 7-year slip, I talk about it all the time. The idea of loving someone on every timeline and loving every version of them and never giving up on them and looking for them, and true love and exploring grief and magical realism and a magical apartment. I mean, it's 1989 and it's set in a city. Like, yeah. The soundtrack of The 7-Year Slip could be 1989. Now, it's probably more like whimsical than that, but also that's my verdict. It's my podcast. We can have different opinions and still be friends. My last 1989 recommendation is Summertime Friends by Hannah Hamrick. And this is her debut, and it's like messy, and it's like second chance, and he's from England and she's from the US, and they met abroad while she was traveling and then had this huge falling out. But then he didn't know any of her friends, he only knew her, and he's in Chicago, and turns out he's kind of in like a situationship with her best friend because he didn't know her best friend. Anyway, it's this whole thing. It's not nearly as like messy in the like actual strings woven together, but it is still messy and it's angsty and it's really just an interesting read. So it's also set in Chicago, so another city read for 1989. Reputation. Now, Reputation, at its core, it might be her most romantic and in love album of them all. It's also mixed with this angst and frustration and like the genuine frustration over her like #Taylor Swift is over party of that era, which if you had to be there. But it was like the great canceling of Taylor Swift, the Kim and Kanye of it all. And so it's very two sides of the same coin, the duality of it, the dark and the light, the yin and the yang, and that is Reputation. So that's kind of where I'm getting these recommendations from. The first is Tin Queen. This one's on the nose because it is Enemy's daughter, and she's undercover trying to avenge the imprisonment of her father, for her to only find out, because you know this the whole series, her father sucks. He's the worst. And I do recommend reading this series in order. You don't have to, but I do recommend it just because you get more of the punch of each book when you know the lore of what's happening. So, Enemy's daughter, rival motorcycle clubs, her dad's in prison, and she's trying to like seduce one of the motorcycle club former members, like the rival motorcycle club former members. She ends up falling in love with him. Yeah. Big Reputation. Okay, the next is The Predator by Rue Nix. This is the first in the Darkverse series, and I'm going to tell you right now, it's the first in a duet. They have to be read together. You're going to be lost if you don't. And the series needs to be read in order. I have not read The Syndicator, but I've read the rest of the series, and I love it. It is dark, mafia. The whole series is like the first 2 books is one couple, and then the rest are individual books for individual couples. But the intimacy in The Predator is near silent. He is cold. He is sharp. He is lethal. And he hates her, but he loves her. And this is like true hate. Now, she doesn't know why he hates her, but you're going to find out. And he's also trying to protect her, but he also hates her, and who hurt you, and the enforcer of this mafia. Like, ooh, Reputation. And then my last book recommendation for Reputation is A Peak Performance by Victoria Wilder, the fourth book in her Riggs family series. So the FMC in this book is stepping in as the interim CEO of Riggs Family Outdoors, or Riggs Outdoors. And she's actually the daughter of their rival outdoor company's CEO. But she was overlooked for the role of CEO at her family's company for her cheating fiance, who she is now. Ex-fiance. And so Mr. Riggs, like Father Riggs, the patriarch of the family, offers her this interim CEO role because his son, who's supposed to step up and take the role, is being really immature and just frankly not ready for that much responsibility. And so like she took his job, and they're neighbors, and it's a reverse age gap, not a super big age gap, but still a reverse age gap. They met in a spicy club before they realized who the other was, or before she realized who he was, really. And that's the opening scene of this whole story. It's unreal, but she is in her Reputation era because she is coming off of this kind of big scandal, but also falling for someone very quickly, and their fake dating for the press. It's just top notch. So let's keep it moving, people. Let's keep it moving. My lover recommendations. It's just like sweet and lovely and loving and just amazing. And I would have to say, despite it all, my Molly Goins is giving lover. It's Always Been You, mutually. I don't know, the secret baby, but the moment he finds out he wants both her and his daughter, like, and we'll stop at nothing to be with them. It's just like, smiley, lovey, lover. And then I have Out with the Tide by Julie Olivia. It's a sunshine romance. Thank God. Y'all know they're hard to come by, and I love a sunshine moment. Roommates, only one bed in this apartment, which is like a fun take on the only one bed trope, I think. Small town on the coast of Maine. He is kind of a himbo type character, but is like deeply insecure about his intelligence, and he is very intelligent, and people just have made him feel like he's not, and it's just I love it, and it just gives lover to me. And then I have Holding the Reins by Paisley Hope, brother's best friend, cowboy, he's also a retired hockey player, workplace, and it just gives lover energy to me. He's a lover boy, she's a lover girl, what can we say? Okay, a la the Eras Tour, I have combined Folklore and Evermore. I do want to say, I know they very, very, very much so stand on their own, and I get that, but this is how I did this. Just My Luck by Lena Hendricks. It is a marriage of convenience, ex-convict, single mom. They're both in it for like mutual benefit into this marriage of convenience, coast of Michigan, same location as One Chance, which I talked to you about earlier. And it's just, again, I can't put my finger on exactly why. It's just the vibes. And who's to blame a girl for vibing? I know you won't blame me. Don't blame me. I love it. I also have Shattered Dreams by Natasha Madison. This is so freaking high angst. And it's like they were in a horrific accident together when they were young adults, and it resulted in the death of both of their significant others at the time. Her boyfriend was the driver, and he blames the FMC for the death of his girlfriend at the time, but it's also so high angst, such big feelings, and it just feels like a tale that Taylor would write about on these albums. It just does. It's eerie, it's crazy. And Finding Haze by Laura Pavlov. This is a firefighter marriage of convenience second chance romance. They were childhood friends, and she left in the night, and they were just both hurt by the way their friendship ended, but she's back in town, has to be married to inherit this home because of course she does, and he steps up to do it, and they rekindle their love for each other, and it's on the coast, and it's giving Folklore Evermore. And then honorable mention, I have not read them yet, but they're sitting on my Kindle and I am so afraid, is Reckless Roses and Vice and Violet, because if you go back and listen to the Sarah A. Bailey episode of this podcast, she shares that the love triangle in Folklore inspired some of the happenings in Reckless Roses and Vice and Violet, and if you know, you know. Now, I do want to say Reckless Roses and Vice and Violet is not a love triangle. Just want to make that clear. But you'll see what I mean when you read it. You'll get it. Okay, two more. Midnights. I'm a Midnights girl. I love Midnights. I just think it's so fun. And these are a little on the nose, okay? And the first was A Court of Mist and Fury because, well, the Night Court. And that's all I really need to say about that. I just think Midnights is giving ACOTAR, A Court of Mist and Fury, so on and so forth. And I will just keep moving. My next recommendation is My Dark Desire by L.J. Shin and Parker S. Huntington. It is a true Cinderella retelling, and it's just, I think the midnight element of the Cinderella story really kicks here and is important, and it's odd and quirky and different, and the audio is phenomenal, and like it legitimately is a Cinderella retelling. Like with the shoe and her having to be the maid, but he's also an inexperienced billionaire, but he's also like the most eligible bachelor on the planet apparently, and he's inexperienced, and so he's like trying to get lessons from her. It's giving Midnights. And then I have Fall With Me by Becca Mack, and my reasoning here is because the Northern Lights and nighttime and stargazing and all of those things are such a significant part of their story and their love story that it's Midnights coded. He's a hockey player, they're roommates because okay, I'm gonna pause. Let's go back. They were next door to each other in like bungalows on vacation. She was on her honeymoon alone because her wedding got called off. And he was there on vacation with this girl from his gym, and he forgot the girl's name, and the girl was mad, and so she left. So it ended up that the embassy and the FMC had an evening together on this last night of vacation. She left him there, and he was like, what? I never get left. So then, as it turns out, she's the new team photographer for his hockey team. So she moves to town, but her apartment floods. And then he's like, you can just stay with me. And so it's like roommates to lovers, workplace forbidden. She's healing from her past. He is healing from a very dark past. He like feels temporary to people. Like it's such an interesting dynamic of a character on his part, but also so beautiful. Like I love his character depth, and their thing together is she loves the Northern Lights, she loves stargazing, she loves her telescope, and it's beautiful. Those are my Midnights recommendations. And then we have Tortured Poets department. The first is Love Redesigned by Lauren Asher, and I just love this book. And it's rivals to lovers, but like the type of rivals to lovers where he's been obsessed with her the whole time. Yeah, give it to me now. I love those. I just love it. I love it. Like the big reveal of just how obsessed he is with her, like it still makes me giggle. It's narrated in duet if you're an audiobook person. They were never together, but they, I think, also have always like felt strong feelings towards each other, whether or not it had been love. And I think that gives the Tortured Poets element to it. Then I have Moonlight on Nightingale Way, specifically the FMC in this book. It's the last book in the On Dublin Street series. He's an ex-convict. She's a super, super prim and proper book editor, and she ends up helping him with this situation he finds himself in that he just feels he cannot handle on its own, and she steps up for him, and they don't really know each other other than being neighbors and kind of bothering each other as neighbors. And I just think she is very Tortured Poets coded as a book editor, being very prim and proper, looking for love. Yeah, her relationship with her parents, all of it. And then I have Fractured Sky, Catherine Cowles, for no other reason than just the energy. They're both kind of social outcasts, whether of their own making or by circumstance. I think both play a role, and they find friendship, and they find solace, and then they find more, and it's just beautiful and complicated, poetic, and I just love it. So it's like, what does it look like when two broken people heal each other? And I just think that that's very poetic and Tortured Poets-esque. So those, my friends, are my book recommendations for every current Taylor Swift album in celebration of Taylor Swift owning her masters. Fun, funky, fresh. What books do you think are Taylor Swift coded? I know Morgan Elizabeth has kind of a whole take on this in her backlist, and I absolutely need to dive into it. And I don't know. I love Taylor Swift. I love books. I love it all. So I thought that this episode would be fun to just give you all some quick rundowns and recommendations. We'll be back to, regularly scheduled programming next week. But for now, thank you for being a Swiftie with me. If there's any episode that you want to do like this in the future, whether it be one person's album or a type of music, let me know, and I would be happy to do that as well. But Thank you as always for spending your time with me, and I'll see you in the next one.